Captain Phasma is a character that once she was revealed had a lot of potential in the films. A lot of Star Wars fans, including myself, got excited for the potential this character could bring. Unfortunately, due to the films, Captain Phasma kind of ended up in the garbage chute. However, even though Captain Phasma's potential was wasted in the movies, it's definitely not wasted here. This Captain Phasma deck lives fully up to her potential, with actually coming across with a fairly strong deck that is absolutely sweeping my locals at the moment. To see what cards are in this deck, combos you could do with it, and little tips and tricks while using this deck, make sure to stick around because I'm going to explain it all. But one quick thing before we jump into leader, the base and the deck itself, if you enjoy Stars Unlimited content, then make sure to drop a like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And not just that, I don't want you guys to miss out on all the new decks I'm releasing soon, as well as some gameplay videos. With that being said, let's get on to this Phasma deck. To kick things off with this Phasma deck, well, Captain Phasma herself. What does she do? She's got an action, you can exhaust her. And if you played a first order card this phase, deal 1 damage to a base. So of course, you're always going to pick their base. Essentially, she's just a safer Sabine because you can constantly ping damage and it only damages their base. Only downside is, well, of course you have to play a first order card, but I'm going to tell you a secret. In this first order deck, we run a lot of first order cards. So due to that very reason, we're almost always activating this ping. But a lot of Phasma's power comes from the turn she deploys. So Phasma, she comes out on 5 and has a 4-6 stat lines, you know, fairly decent, fairly strong. But she reads, on attack, if you played another first order card this phase, you may deal 1 damage to a unit if you do 1 damage to a base. But what I absolutely love about this card is that even though she's got 4 attack, she's basically always attacking for more because we've always played a first order card, meaning this on attack ability always happens. You'd be so surprised how often that 1 damage ping to a unit defeats something, then meaning we can then attack the base for 5 damage. Essentially, she's almost always doing 6 damage out, and she comes out on turn 5. And if you're still not convinced, then, you know, fair enough. On her own, she's not exceptional. However, we don't play her on her own. We run other first order cards that synergize with her, making her into an absolute powerhouse within this deck. And to match our Captain Phasma, we've gone green and our Energy Conversion Lab. So it's got 25 health, but this epic action right here is just perfect for the deck. It reads, epic action, play a unit that costs 6 less from your hand, give it ambush for this phase. There are so many cards that pair unbelievably perfect with this ambush. As we go through the deck, I will point them out and how they work, but please note, this card being ambushed, oh my word, it's not fair. So that is the leader and base covered. Let's crack on to these ground units. Kicking things off with the ground units is a 1 cost, and that is 3 first order stormtroopers. The more I play this deck, the more I'm falling in love with this card. Why? Well, it's a 1 cost, so you can get out for basically nothing. It's a 2-1 stat line that reads, on attack, / when defeated, deal 1 indirect damage to a player. So they pick where it goes. So essentially, it's always attacking for free. And not just that, when it's defeated, it also pings the damage. However, what also makes this card so good is other cards in our deck like General Hux that give first order cards raid 1, meaning this then hits for free with the indirect damage on top of that. And what I really like about it is another general card within our deck that when indirect damage is dealt to a unit, we can defeat an upgrade. So they either think, am I going to lose an upgrade or do I let the damage go to your base? Moving on to our 2 cost ground units where you've just seen it, and we start with 3 of, and that's Alliant General. This guy is actually a bit of a powerhouse within this deck. Why? So he's a 2-3 stat line, and yet again first order, so Phasma can activate with him, that reads, when indirect damage is dealt to a unit, you may defeat a non-unique upgrade on it. So more often than not, if you've got indirect damage getting pinged out, they're going to pick their base because they don't want that upgrade to be defeated. It's so nice for pinging off shields and experience tokens, by the way. And on top of that, on attack, if you have the initiative, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. So this 2-cost card can essentially hit for 4. Quick tip for this card, if you've got it in your turn 1 hand, play them out, then activate theirs. Don't activate Phasma because that'll just do 1 damage to a base. Claim the initiative, so that way you can attack with this guy doing that 2 indirect damage, which in turn does more damage than, well, Phasma's 1 damage to the base. Moving on to our next 2-cost ground unit is a card, I'm not joking, is actually one of the best cards in this deck because it enables insane damage. You've already seen it, that is 3 General Hux. He's a 1-4 stat line, And of course, he's first order, so you can activate Captain Phasma with him. But this is the main power behind him. Each other friendly first order unit gains raid 1. So all of these low damaging first order units, getting that +1 quickly racks up. Like I said earlier, our first order stormtrooper starts hitting for free and gets that indirect damage. Our Captain Phasma turns from a 4 attack to a 5 attack. Like, it just enables so much. He's also got another ability, which reads action, you can exhaust him. If you played a first order card this phase, you can draw a card. So if you're getting absolutely nothing in your hand, you can activate that and draw. And to be honest, he's only done 1 damage anyway, so you might as well activate it if you can. Moving on to our free costing ground units, we want to run 3 of, and that is free Emperor's Royal Guard. So this card is a 3/4 stat line, so solid stat line for free resources. That reads Y control an official unit. This unit gains Sentinel. It also reads Y control Emperor Palpatine's leader unit, gets +1 health. That's rarely going to come up. But the official one happens all the time. That's because our General Hux is an official. Our Legion General is also an official. So if you played either of those out turn 1, you can then play this out, meaning you've got a chunky Sentinel protecting those pesky cards. Okay, moving on to our 4 costing ground units, we run 2 Dengars. So this guy's a 5/4 stat line, which is solid, and especially with ECL, you can ambush him out to one-shot Sabines if you wanted to. However, he's mainly in here for the piloting, so you pay 2, you attach it onto your vehicle because, well, this deck does run a lot of space units, and it reads, attach unit gains on attack, deal 2 indirect damage to a player. If it's an underworld unit, do 3 damage instead. Don't run any underworld, so you just get that 2 indirect, but it does give it also +1 attack, +2 health. But don't forget, our Alliant General means that indirect damage can defeat an upgrade. So because of that, they're more often than not ping that onto their base. And our next 4 cost is actually one of the best cards within this deck. I cannot get over how insane this card is. I put it in here just because this deck didn't have many 4 costing cards to play, and well, it's been the MVP. Almost every game I've played is hands down been one of the biggest issues for the opposition to deal with, and believe it or not, that is 3 Hunting Nexus. Yes, you did not hear that wrong. You do not see this wrong. Hunting Nexu, like a bog standard card that I thought I'd never run in any decks, is actually insanely good in this deck. So, it's a 4 cost 4/4 that reads Y control another red unit. This gains raid 2, meaning it's going to hit for 6. I don't know if you noticed, 90% of our deck is red, meaning it always gets that raid 2. Worst case scenario, right, you got nothing on board, you pay your 4, bring out Nexu, take initiative, pass, whatever. Next turn, you've got Nexu chilling, play out your Phasma as a leader. Oh look, another red, this now hits for 6. Not just that, you can ECL it out, meaning you've got a 6 ambush card on your 4 resources. And on top of that, the absolute cherry on top is that rerun Kylo Ren within this deck. That means on this guy attacks, you can give a unit +2 attack, and if it hasn't got the villainy aspect, an experience token, meaning you give an experience token to it, comes a 5/5, the +2 attack, a 7/5, and it gets the raid 2, meaning it's a 9/5 unit. Honestly, I get it. If you thought, why this card, is not that good, just please try it in this deck, and I promise you, you're going to be so surprised with it. And if you're thinking, that's great and all, but it's quite slow getting those attack combos out, well, maybe I thought about that, and we're going to cover it later. Moving on to our 5 costing ground units, and well, we're going from one of the best cards in the deck to probably the best card in the deck, and that's 3 Captain Phasmas. This ground unit is everything I wanted Captain Rex to be in the previous set. So Phasma is a 5/6 stat line for 5, so that's pretty solid anyway, that reads, when played and on attack, you may give another first order unit +2/+2 for this phase. So it's 5 resources, right? So it comes out on the same turn as your Phasma. So if you play out this Phasma, you can give your other Phasma +2/+2, means a 6/8. However, this is where this card gets kinda nutty, because you can ECL out this card, meaning you pay your 5, ECL it out, activate its when played ability, give something +2/+2, so I'm going to pick my Phasma, making it a 6/8. Then you can activate the ambush, meaning you can attack, then activating the on-attack ability, giving something else another +2/+2, so you can give this +2/+2 again, do the ambush, defeating something, then meaning you've got an 8-10 leader ready and good to go. To be honest, it's quite rare I'd advise putting both boosts onto a single unit. You kind of want to do it across multiple units, because if they like no good to me dead or exhausted with Django's ability, like that unit's just gone. So try and spread that boost if you can. But yeah, like the potential this card has, it's insane, like absolutely insane. And well, on top of all of that, look how insane this artwork is. I'm dying to get a Hyperspace Holo because it'd be gorgeous. Moving on to our 6 costume ground units is where we got one, and that is Darth Vader. So Vader, he's a 7 attack, 7 health ground unit, which for 6 cost is kind of insane. And well, because he's a 6 cost, you can activate ECL with him, meaning you can ambush out this Vader for 7 damage. But if you don't deploy him as a ground unit, which to be honest, I kind of advise, just because having a 7 attack Vader just chilling is a big threat. You can pilot him for 3 cost, so attach him to a vehicle, and that vehicle gets on attack, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. If a unit is defeated this way, you may deal 1 damage to a unit or base. So again, constantly pinging some more, and well, he gives it +3/+3. So you can turn one of your little space units into, well, an absolute menace. Moving on to our next 6 cost ground unit is another absolute behemoth within the deck. Not as good as Phasma and Nexu, but still very good. That is 2 Kylo Rens. I mean, it's a first order deck. We can't not run a first order deck without any Kylo Rens. It just helps that he's insanely good for the deck. So he's a 6 attack, 7 health for 6 costs, and because he's at 6 cost, you can ECL him out. And he reads, while playing his unit, ignore his villainy aspect, penalty for control ray. Never going to happen in this deck. But more importantly, on attack, give a unit +2 for this phase. If it's a non-villainy unit, give an experience token to it. So 90% of the time, you're just giving it that +2. However, like I said, if you've got Nexu out, you can make Nexu a +2 with that experience, essentially giving it +3 attack, which is just bonkers. Let me just put it into perspective how bonkers like this boost is. So we run outflank, which lets you attack with 2 units at once. So if you choose Kylo Ren first, attack for 6, hit the base for 6. You then activate his on attack first, giving this the experience token and the +2. So that's 6 damage to the base, right? You can then attack with Nexu straight after. So he's getting the Ray 2 up to 6. He's then got the experience token, so he's up to 7. And the Ray 2 up to 9 and hit the base for 9 damage. And then you've done 15 damage to base with 1 attack. That's only one of the combos you can do. It's insane. And rounding up our ground units is a 7 cost, and whereas a finisher for most cases, that is 2 Mauls. So Maul is a 7 damage, 6 health unit with ambush and overwhelm, and on attack you may choose another friendly underworld unit. If you do, all combat damage will be dealt to this unit during attacks, dealt to that unit instead. Almost never going to happen. He's just there for that 7 ambush, just delete sank out the game, and well, the overwhelm to just damage to base is also really nice. I found I don't actually get to him very often or use him very often, because normally on the 7 resources I'm activating outflank, and outflank's normally just winning me the game there and then. However, having Maul there just in case is very, very valuable for us. That is it for our ground units. Let's move on to the space units. Kicking things off for our space units is a 1 cost, and we run 3 first order TIE fighter. So I'm going to be honest, this is only in here because I haven't got any Kylo TIE silencer, so I thought might as well play another first order unit so I can activate Phasma with it, and well, this gets all the boosts and synergy of all the other first order cards. What does this card actually do? It's 2 attack, 1 health, and it reads, while you control a token unit, this unit gains raid 1. Well, you're just no token generation in stacks, it's not going to get there. So you see why it's just kind of in here, it's got no TIE silencer. What is nice is that you can play First Order Stormtrooper and this in your turn 1 if you get both of them. I mean, you've got 2 units, which is quite nice. And well, with General Hux, it then gets the raid 1. So, you know, it's alright, but like, if you've got Kylo TIE Silencer, drop this card for it. Moving on to our 2 costing space units, we run 2 Special Force TIE Fighter. This card's a 2/3 stat line that reads, when played, if your opponent controls more space units than you, ready this unit. That ability doesn't come up too often, but you know, it can come up quite nice. It's mainly in here because, well, it's a 2/3 stat line first order card that we can play turn 1. So, yeah, again, with Phasma, it means you can get that ping off. And, well, if you play this turn 1, then in your second turn you play out General Hux, it then turns this into a 3/3 space unit turn 1, which is kind of nice. Moving on to our 3 costing space units, we got 3 TIE Dagger Vanguard. So this card is a 2/2 stat line, which, you know, is not great for 3 cost, but it is first order, so it gets synergy of Phasma and, well, most of the deck. But more importantly, when played, you may deal 2 damage to a damaged unit. That could be space or ground, by the way. Because this deck actually does a fair bit of indirect damage, well, we run things like Daring Raid and Open Fire, spoiler I know, meaning we can do damage out, meaning this can come out, do 2 more damage to it and just defeat things, which is nice. Which is also really nice about this card, is that if turn 1 we've got a First Order Stormtrooper attacked, and instead of putting that indirect damage on their base, they put it to a unit, we can just, well, follow up with this and defeat it, which they never expect. This card, you know, is fairly situational, but it's alright. If there was better First Order cards, I'd probably drop this down to a 2, but at the moment it's at 3 just because I need those First Order cards, and like I said, against certain decks it could be really nice. Moving on to our next free cost space unit is free Von Reg's TIE Interceptor. Right, this card actually can seriously pop off for you. So it's a free attack 4 health that reads, while this unit has 4 more power, it gains Overwhelm. While this unit has 6 more power, it gains Raid 1. Yet again, we've got quite a few pilots, especially Vader, that can make it up to 6 damage, so it gets the Raid 1. But this is where it's kind of nuts. If we played out our unit Phasma and attacked, or just when played, we can give this +2/+2, making it a 5/6. And if we have General Hux out, it then gets the Raid 1, meaning it then becomes a 6 attack space unit, which is also First Order. Like, this card can do so much damage. Normally, if I have these 2 out and I ambush out with a Phasma, I typically do the when played out here for the +2/+2, do the ambush and give the other Captain Phasma +2/+2, meaning you then got a 5/6 space unit and a 6/8 ground unit for the turn. And rounding up our space units is a 6 cost, and that is free Ruthless Raiders. Absolute staple in any red villainy deck. So it's got 4 attack, 6 health, and when played and when defeated, deal 2 damage to an enemy base and 2 damage to an enemy unit. This card, you don't need me talking about loads, it's just insanely good. It's like in every red villainy deck at the moment. And well, you can ambush it out in this deck, so we can ambush, do the when played, 2 damage, and then attack in, essentially making it a 6 attack ambush. That's it for our space units. Let's move on to the events and upgrades. Starting things off, the events and upgrades is a 1 cost, that is 2 Daring Raids. This card reads, deal 2 damage to a unit or base. So it's nice in here just to, well, do that 2 ping damage to finish something off. Or if they play something with 4 health, you can activate this, then your TIE Dagger Vanguard, doing the extra 2 damage, just finishing it off. Our next 1 cost, you've already seen it, is so important for the deck, and it's one of the reasons this deck normally always wins on the 6 resource turn or 5 resource turn or whenever. That is free outflanks. So as I showed you earlier, some of the combos this card can help you pull off is insane. For those who don't know what it does, attack with 2 units. 1 at a time. But because of that 1 at a time, it means you get your when played attacks. So Kylo Ren can normally attack, or your Captain Phasma unit can attack, then boost something else, then that attacks immediately. Like I said earlier in the ground unit section of this video, if you have Kylo Ren and Hunting Nexu out, like you can activate this, attack Kylo Ren for 6 damage to base, then give the experience token and +2 to the Nexu, meaning that's then going to hit for 9 damage. Like, it's insane. This card is so important. It's also one of the reasons why this deck's actually quite good against Jango Fett decks. Because if you have initiative, you can, well, do this, attack 4 units, do insane damage that normally wins you the game there and then, and, well, they can't exhaust your big power units. Moving on to our free costing events and upgrades, we run free Open Fire. So what does this card do? Deal 4 damage to a unit. It's just in here for bit removal, basically. So if things aren't going well and your board keeps getting cleared, just play us out, defeat something. Or maybe they've got a Sentinel that's going to stop you from winning the game in 1 attack, play us out, defeat it. Like, it's quite important to have this in. And, well, yet again, you can partner this up with TIE Dagger Vanguard for 6 damage. So something's got 6 health, play this out, 4 damage, play TIE Dagger Vanguard, do an extra 2 to it. And rounding up our main deck is a 5 cost event and upgrade, and you know what's coming, it's green villainy, it's Overwhelming Barrage. What does this card do? Give a friendly unit +2 attack, +2 health for this phase, then it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of other units. It just wipes the board, it clears the board, it defeats everything. Like, you don't need me to keep talking about this card, it's so good, borderline broken, and it's just insane. It's also another reason why Hunting Nexu is so good, because as I said earlier, if you've got Nexu out the following turn, you can do this, meaning then do 6 damage across the board, normally wiping it out, then play Phasma, attack with Nexu for 8 damage, like, it's just, yeah, it's insane. Especially if you've gone Overwhelm Barrage, cleared their board, then the next turn you activate your outflank, attack with 2 units, straight to base, like, it's game over. That's actually it for the main deck. Let's crack on to this side deck. Kicking things off the side deck is free Cham Syndulla. So it's a 5/4 stat line, solid stat line, same as Dengar, but more importantly reads, when played, if an opponent controls more resources than you, you may put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. So it's red ramp, our first bit of red ramp. So if you're playing against a deck that's constantly ramping resources, play this out, boom. That means you have an extra resource yourself. And in this deck, that means Phasma's coming out extremely early. Our next side deck option is Emperor Palpatine. So if your game's going on a bit too long, you need a bit of removal, another big hitter, chuck him in. So he's a 6/6 overwhelm that reads, when played, deals 6 damage divided as you choose among enemy units. Bit of board clearance, and well, yeah, that's kind of it. Our next side deck option is another one for if the game drags on, is a 9 cost, that is Krayt Dragon. 10/10 with overwhelm, and when an opponent plays a card, you may deal damage equal to that card's cost, their base or ground unit they control. You all know about Krayt Dragon, you don't need me to keep talking about it. One thing you could chuck in, which I was thinking about, is because the best matchup against this deck is probably like a Han, double Han yellow, like the constant bounce. Is I was thinking Scanning Officer, chuck that into the side deck and just shut the hand down, because once they don't bounce your stuff, you just win, like they can't stop the damage you put out. Moving on to our space side deck is a free cost that has 2 disabling Fang Fighter. So this card's free to attack that reads, when played, you may defeat an upgrade. You want to bring this in when you're playing against those pilot decks. Simple as that. If they're constantly playing out pilots, or they've got a pilot leader and it's pesky for you, play this out, boom, defeat it, see you later. On the note of upgrade hate is our next one, and adds a 1 cost that is 2 confiscates. Same sort of thing. This card just reads defeat an upgrade. So if you're playing those pilot decks, you're playing something that's constantly upgrading something, just play this out, boom, defeat it. And rounding up our side deck is a 5 cost that is a Traitorous. This card reads, when this upgrade becomes attached to a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less, take control of this unit. Then when this is defeated, you get to give it back to them. But in short, it just, give me that unit, I'll take that, thank you very much. This can actually work really well with Kylo Ren if you're playing like against a hero deck, because then Kylo Ren can give an experience token and the +2 attack, and then you can defeat them with their own unit, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, Traitorous played at the right time can swing you that game. So that is it for our main deck and side deck, and here is the deck list for those who want it. For final thoughts and matchups, well, this deck's quite aggressive, right? So we like to win quite fast, and thanks to outflank and all those units boosting one another, we normally do win by the 5 or 6 resource turn, because decks will be really surprised how much damage we can put out. It's actually quite good against other aggressive decks, because we've got a fair bit of removal, a fair bit of ambush, and well, constant indirect damage, we can actually defeat them fairly nicely. I mean, ambushing out like a Hunting Nexu for 6 is like so good. Against mid-range, we're relatively good. Like, I am absolutely smashing Jango Fett decks with this deck. For some reason, this just pairs beautifully against it. The main issue I'm finding is, well, double yellow Han. I know it's the most broken thing in the game at the moment, but that's why the Scanning Officers are quite good. That's why I'm thinking maybe swapping out some of this for the Scanning Officers, and if I go to a PQ or a big tournament, I would probably run Scanning Officer. I just haven't got any at the moment, because Scanning Officer against that deck, they can't do anything against us, we just do too much damage too fast. Against Control, we're actually fairly decent, because we can spam out lots of small units early on, so things like Powder Darkside, Merciless Contest won't bother us, and well, the main power turn for us is that 5 resource turn with Phasma coming out, then our Phasma unit boosting, like it's normally game over for them by then. But yeah, I absolutely love this deck, and it surprised me so much of how strong it is. I'm not gonna lie though, it does take a bit of practice, this deck, because the order you play cards and the synergies you go are so important. If you make one mistake with the ordering, then you just lose. With that being said though, it's insanely fun. I did not expect to enjoy myself this much of this deck. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this deck and any change you may make, and well, if you're excited for more first order cards to come to make this deck even better. Thank you very much for watching guys, and hopefully I shall catch you in the next one.